Are you a determined and ambitious woman entrepreneur seeking to elevate your selling skills? Then I have a training for you. It's called How Any Woman Can Confidently Close Any Deal in a One-on-One Sales Call in Any Business or Industry. In this training, you'll be shown 3 techniques that you can immediately apply to your consultation calls and improve your close rate. This is a live training with me, and there's going to be an opportunity to ask questions. So come get yourself registered right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/close. Easy, right? Okay, I'm going to see you there.
Do sales conversations make you feel awkward or pushy? It's time to ditch the outdated salesy strategies. Your guide, Nikki will show you how to combine kindness with selling skills to meet your prospects where they are, and in the process, how to up-level your influence and income. Learn how to earn business easily and effortlessly. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Rausch. Today's episode is part of the Mastering Excellence series. This comes from my background in neurolinguistic programming, where we learn that there is a structure to excellence. And once you understand the structure of how somebody is achieving exceptional results in some area of their life or business, you can then apply that same structure to your own life and or business to get similar results. I am super excited for the topic today, and even more excited about our guest today, which is Shelly Niehaus. Now, let me tell you a little bit about her. Shelly helps service-based businesses get more clients by developing a solid personal brand and a list-building strategy with aligned content that connects and converts. As a small business owner herself, Shelly realizes it can be very intimidating to build a brand around your work and know how to present yourself to the world. Shelly is a firm believer that marketing does not have to be complicated. It can be fun. After 2 decades of entrepreneurship across 3 different industries, she discovered her true passion was marketing and helping other businesses create marketing strategies tailored to their business. Shelly has helped numerous service-based businesses overcome the overwhelm of marketing by helping them create a strategy to improve their communication and create greater connection with their clients. We are going to be talking to her today about how to list build, which is probably what I think is one of the most important things you can do in your business. Shelly, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited and love to chat all things list building, because I really do believe it is your business superpower and can transform your business. So let's go with that today.
I agree. I so agree. Now, would you share a little bit more about kind of you and your business? And you and I just discovered like 5 minutes before this call that we actually live in the same area, which is very, very rare. So I'm so delighted. But share a little bit more about you and who you are in your business so people get a better understanding besides just the bio.
Sure. Well, as I said, I am a service-based business by trade. Like, I was in the service-based industry for 3 years, for 3 decades. And I really felt that I understood how service-based businesses ran. But the thing that I always like to do more than whatever industry I was in, I was behind the scenes working on the marketing. It's like, how can we, get our clients in the door? How can we get more clients? How can we attract our ideal client that we actually want to work with? And how can we attract less of those clients that we don't want to work with? So really, it's all about marketing. And at the end of the day, marketing is just about creating conversations. So I really just got excited about how can we create better conversations, both with our current clients, our past clients, and our potential clients. So it was really all about that. So the common theme across all 3 industries was I really wanted to just have better conversations. And then I found myself doing it really well in my business. And all of a sudden, all of my coworkers or competition was like, can you teach me how to do that? Can you teach me how to market? How would you do a mastermind on this? And so I started teaching. I was a photographer for 10 years. I was teaching other photographers how to do marketing, how to sell their business. And that's where it naturally evolved from just doing it in my own business to really helping others. And one day a lady looked at me and she's like, why are you still doing photography when you really should be teaching this to other people? And that was
Mm,
my light bulb moment that maybe I could make a bigger impact on the world by helping other people create revenue and just become profitable in their business and really find joy working with the clients they want to work with and just learn to market them. Because again, we're all really good at what we do, but sometimes learning the business side can be a little daunting. And so I want to make it fun and simple and easy and just really dive into how we can make marketing simple and fun.
I love that. And you have a successful podcast as well.
Yes.
Will you share a little bit about it?
I have the Educated, Empowered, Inspired podcast. And it's all about marketing for solopreneurs. And I love podcasting personally. I feel it's such an honor to podcast because you get to have the best conversations with people and really change the world one conversation at a time. Back to marketing is all about conversations. And what
Yeah.
better way to create authentic conversations than through podcasting?
Yes, I so agree. And I got to be a guest on your podcast and felt such an instant connection to you. I feel like you and I have some real similar thought processes around sales and marketing and this idea of creating conversation. So I feel like we're very in sync. And I'm so excited to learn from you today, in particular around list building, because it's something I think all of my clients, I speak to my clients a lot about this. And I know it's a big focus in my own business as well. So I'm just so excited for what I might learn from you today and how I can apply it to my own business. So let's dive in. My first question is, if I were to stand in for you for a day, so lucky me, I get to take on kind of you and how you show up in the world. What is something that I would have to do, or how would I have to think in order to approach this idea of list building for my business?
Okay. The first thing that list building always comes down to is, are we putting the right content out in the world to attract people that are aligned with what we're doing, what we're selling? And so it's about understanding your ideal client. It's about understanding my ideal client. And really the way I start simple with the clients that I work with is, what are the 10 most common problems that you solve? Like, what are the 10 questions? Like, if you are thinking back to the questions you get asked most, or, if you're in a Facebook group that people in your industry are hanging out and asking questions, what are the questions that keep coming up? What are those common questions that people are like, that's been asked before? Use the search feature. Like, those are just the questions that people are dying to know. That's the perfect kind of content to put out into the world, whether it be when you're growing your audience, whether it's podcasting or social media, but also that's the lead magnet that you can create. That's the freebie you can create to really get your client or your potential client that quick win. And we always want to just make sure that everything that we're doing is very intentional. It's very aligned with where we're wanting to take people. We want to create that curiosity. We want to create that desire. And it always starts with that initial introduction. And most of the times people are going to, maybe see you on social media or hear about you on a podcast. And you have to really ask, is the content that I'm putting out, are the conversations that I'm having aligned with those problems that my clients or potential clients want solved? Is it really connecting with them?
That is so perfect. Okay, so the first little nugget that I feel like you've dropped for us, or not even nugget, but like this is something to do, an exercise. What are the 10 most common problems that you solve? That is a good indicator of what your freebie should potentially be. Can I ask a follow-up question about that before I go too much deeper? My follow-up question, because I get this all the time from clients, is how many freebies should I have?
Well, I think it depends on where you are in your business.
Okay.
Again, if you're just starting out and you don't even have an email list, let's start with one.
Yes.
One of my
Yes.
I have two mottos that I teach, and one is done is better than perfect
Yes.
and progress over perfection.
Okay.
Because the number one thing I see most businesses do is they overthink this. They spend days trying to pick up an email platform, and then they spend more days trying to just think about what freebie is out they could put out there. And then they spend more time what should I say? And they're so busy overthinking this that they're stuck in inaction because they're not actually doing the work. So just, I would say, if you don't have anything out there now, start
Mm-hmm.
with one. Then I always think of it as like a spoke, a wagon wheel. So you have
Okay.
the center and then you have the different spokes. And when you are more advanced and you're more developed in your business, think of each lead magnet as like a spoke that's leading them to an offer. So if you have 4 or 5 offers out there, you could have a lead magnet for each one of those.
Okay.
But again, that's version like 4 or 5.0 of list building. So you really have to figure out where you want to start, where you are, and what's the next right thing for you. But eventually, I think it would be a good idea to have a lead magnet for each of your main offers out there.
Mm.
If you have that bandwidth. And that's another thing, you have to look at what bandwidth you have to promote them. So it's kind of, and again, I don't really believe in a one size fits all strategy for any
Mm-hmm.
business. So I really
Same.
feel like it's what is right for your business right now and your bandwidth.
Okay. I love that. Okay. So here's my next question is what specifically would I have to do to behave like you when I start to approach this list building?
So first of all, as I said, you would really need to not overthink it because
Okay.
I want you to think about progress over perfection. We've got to get out of that culture of overthinking and inaction. So we're gonna set a timer for 60 minutes. And if you have a decision to be made about what platform you want to pick for your email platform or what lead magnet, you're gonna set that timer for 60 minutes. You're going to do all the research you want in 60 minutes. And at the end of it, you have your next step, whether that's you've chosen your platform, you've chosen your lead magnet, you've written your first email and it is going out into the world. And so each time you just have to keep moving forward to the next step. And it is nothing is permanent. You're not married to this. If you don't like your email platform in 3 months, you can change. If you feel like your lead magnet, because marketing is testing, if it's not resonating, we can change it up. We can change the title. We can change the photos. We can change, the promise that you're the transformation you're talking about. Everything is depend on you putting it out into the world and seeing how it lands. And
Mm.
if you don't put it out into the world and you don't see how it's resonating, whether it's good or bad, you're not going to have the data to know what to do to move forward. So it's really about taking action, making those decisions, and just moving forward with whatever information you have at the time, and always going back and just, again, revisiting, analyzing the data, what worked, what didn't, and what do you need to tweak for next time.
Okay. This is such a great concrete step here of this 60-minute. You've got 60 minutes to decide on your platform. You have 60 minutes to decide on your lead magnet. You have 60 minutes to write that first email. I think that is incredibly impactful. Now, I happen to be a quick start, so I probably decide quicker than 60 minutes, but I also know those people that are super analytical and it will be like 2 weeks later, it's like they haven't picked their platform yet. And I love the idea of that it's progress over perfection because I think with marketing and with sales, it is a lot of testing. It's
Mhm.
like, let's do something so we can get some feedback so we can tweak it to do the next something. So this is awesome, this 60-minute rule. I think it's a good one. Set that timer. I love a timer. So,
I have one on
okay.
my desk.
Do
It's every
you?
day. I use it all the time.
I love that. Okay. So what are your goals when it comes to list building?
Okay. So with list building, we all are so close to our own business. We're the professional. We're really excited. You're excited about sales. I'm excited about list building. Someone else might be excited about selling cosmetics. Like whatever it is, we're the professional. We're so excited and we are all in on our business. But we have to remember that when we connect with people, they are probably very unlikely that they're ready, willing, or able to buy from us at that time.
Okay.
Like there's probably a 1% chance that you post something on social media that they're like, okay, I'm pulling my wallet out to buy from you. Like you haven't taken them on that journey. So the whole purpose of list building is to build that know, like, and trust with factor to move them from what I call the very noisy online space into a space where you can control the conversation. You can control the environment. When I was a photographer, I used to do in-person sales for my portrait work.
Mm-hmm.
And when I brought a client in to look at their photos, I could set the music. I could offer the right type of refreshments. I could, the entire environment is curated. So when you think of social media or, the online space, it's like you're in a noisy restaurant. You're competing with everyone's photos of their vacation, their kids, their cats, and all that to try and have a conversation. And it's just not effective to have a conversation. And it comes across, kind of pushy if you're constantly saying, buy my stuff, buy my
Yeah.
stuff, buy my
Yeah.
stuff. It's just not authentic. But instead, if you say, you know what, do you struggle with this problem? And they say, yes, I do struggle with learning, I'll use my business. Do you struggle with figuring out how to start building your email list? I have a solution for you and it's free. And
Mm-hmm.
then all you do is you ask, you have a thing called a landing page where they go in and put their email in and you lead with reciprocity. You're giving them value before that you ever make an ask from them. And so the purpose of list building is to take them from that online noisy environment into, it's like my sales session where you're controlling the environment. You control the tone of the conversation, how often they're getting emails from you, the content, everything is now in your control. And on top of it, you're no longer doing business on rented land because at the end of the day, all of our Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn accounts could go away tomorrow and you own your list. So it's really twofold. It's to bring people on that journey, to start to get them into your world, to create that curiosity and that desire through controlling the environment, and to own your own list so that if something were to happen, you are not, it's always called like an insurance policy for your business. You own your list and you can still communicate with your clients.
Yes. Okay. I think that again is such a crucial thing to be thinking about of controlling the environment. And I loved the analogy you gave about a really noisy restaurant. I'm somebody who's easily distracted by noise. So to be in a quiet environment where it feels like you're having that personalized conversation is so impactful. I just think that's such a great analogy of like, let's move it out of this really noisy, lots of people are trying to get their attention to an environment that you can control. And then you create this idea of reciprocity to get them excited and show them like what it is that you have that meets that need, solves that problem. Right.
Yes, you
Okay.
position yourself as the professional, and
Yeah.
just by that alone, you're already in a much better place eventually to make that sale, which you talk about to sell to them
Yeah.
because you've led with value and
Yeah.
you've positioned yourself as a professional.
Yeah. One of the questions that often comes up, and I'm dying to know your answer, is there's a lot of talk out there about reciprocity. So I'm so on board with the concept of reciprocity, but there's a lot of talk about how much you give until you put an offer in front of somebody. And I certainly have an opinion about this, but I'm interested to know your perspective as somebody who's such an expert on list building that if somebody's opted in for something, you've given them something, and now they're coming in, you're building that know, like, and trust. At what point do you think it is appropriate to give them an opportunity to take a next step with you, buy something from you?
So first of all, when you do have someone come in to your list, you want to make sure that you are nurturing them. One of the common things I see is people will give you an opt-in, and then the next thing you know, you go into their regular sequencing, and you're just treated as a number. And the
Mm,
beauty of a list is we cannot treat people like numbers. It's a more advanced topic, but you can segment it. So you're not talking to your whole email list like it's this big, massive list, but you can if you met somebody at a networking event, you have this population, or these population came from your podcast, or this population came from maybe a sign up for a course or something you're offering. You can have smaller conversations with these people by segmenting them. And so I really want everyone to think about how can just think about, put yourself in the person that just signed up for your email opt-in. What steps would you need to nurture them before they're ready for an offer? So I call that a bridge sequence. So you want to make sure you're bridging them from the time they opted in to the time they go on your regular list. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It could be a series of 3 emails. You just want to warm them up. Make, hey, like one of mine is, did you get it? I
Yeah.
email them within 4
Yeah.
hours just to make sure they got it. You want to just, you
Yeah.
want them to not feel like that number. So once you bridge them and then they go into your sequence, I think it depends on how big the ask is.
Mm.
If it's something small, like a under $100 or whatever, those are pretty easy, and you can put those out, in a PS in your signature or whatever. Like those are, but when the bigger the ask, I think the more you need to probably nurture them, because they're going to have to go on that journey with you a little longer. My general rule is I do about an 80-20. I give 80% of value, but at the end of the day, you're not giving away your trade secrets. You're leading with value, but you're not giving away the store. You always share, I guess, the what and the why, but
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to share the how in your emails. Like they're going to have to come pay you for your product or service
Mm-hmm.
before they get that. So you want to make sure that you are nurturing them and creating that desire. But then you want to make sure that you're doing the ask. And that's the other thing I see people not doing. And that's why I need you to talk to my people more often is they're not selling to their list
Yeah.
because they don't feel comfortable selling to their list. So it's like we have people on both ends of the spectrum. But
Yeah.
a well-nurtured person is, I think it's 42% more likely to buy from you. So you have that incentive to build that relationship.
Yeah. Are you ready to uplevel your sales game? Well, here is a gift for you. It is the Mastering the Sales Conversation mini training. This training gives you my proven step-by-step approach to sales so that you can go from that overwhelmed and intimidated approach that you have to sales to feeling confident and leading a conversation so that you easily guide somebody to hiring you. You can get it right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/mastering. This is my gift to you. Go grab it now. I sell to my list often and I feel really comfortable doing it and I teach how to do it and all of that. And I can say that probably almost 90% of all of my sales come right from an offer that's made to the list, right? Like that is really the bread and butter for me. So I do think list building is such an important piece. And you've spoken to this, this idea of like you own that list. I always say like that's an asset in your business and you should treat it as an asset. And you want it to actually grow in value. And so that's making sure that you've got the right people on the list. But I love this idea. I haven't heard anybody talk about this before, the bridge sequence. I mean, I know that there's usually, sometimes people get like the one email and then that's it. And it's like, that's not enough. So I like this idea of thinking of it as a bridge, that it's really getting them from one place to the next, that it is still part of that know, like, and trust. And that might be different based on the offer or what they're kind of coming in or what offer you're going to put in front of them of what your bridge sequence is. How many emails is that? What's in what's in each of those emails. So that was so
Yes. And you know your audience best. So that's
yeah.
why when I say I really feel like it's an individualized approach,
Mm-hmm.
you know what type of content your clients probably need to hear. You need to know how often they need to hear from you,
Mm-hmm.
and what you're selling and where you want to take them. And I always say it's just like you're going from New York to California. You need a roadmap. You would never just get in the car and start driving without a roadmap. So your list building is your roadmap. How are you going to get from one to the other? You would probably map out some stops, come up with a strategy. So that's what your bridge sequence is, and your list building is how to get there and what are the specific steps you need to take them to get from
Mm-hmm.
one step to the other.
That's perfect. Okay, so my next question is, how do you actually, or what do you actually do to reach that goal? Like, is there anything specific when you're thinking about list building, you're thinking about your bridge sequence? Is there anything specific that comes to mind for you of like, this is something I do every time?
So the one thing that I do, and I see a lot of people not do or struggle with, they're like, I don't have enough people on my list. I need to grow my list. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll say, well, how often are you talking about it? And then I
Ah,
get crickets and
yeah.
like, well, I put it in my email signature or it's on my website. And I say your freebie, whatever you're promoting, is almost like, the like a grandparent when they're showing off their grandkids and like the photos in their wallet. Like back in the day when they used to have photos in their wallet, they
Yeah.
would be the first one to pull those grandkids out, want to show you all the photos of their grandkids. Your freebie needs to be like that. Like you need to be excited because you're solving a problem, you're helping people out, you really are showing up to serve. So you need to be talking about it. And so, how often are you talking about it and how many different places? I call it the billboard effect. But you want to literally blast that email or that lead magnet in as many places as you can and be promoting it on your social media once a week, be promoting it on LinkedIn once a week. You need a strategy. You just can't put them out there and let them start to collect dust because it's like a bookshelf. They'll start to collect dust and
Mm-hmm.
no one's going to see them. And back to how many freebies, I kind of again use it as the billboard effect. When you think about when you drive down the highway every day, you see the same billboard, you start to zone out. But then they change the billboard and you notice it. So I actually rotate my freebies roughly once a month. And I'm rotating them out. I'm changing out all my social media banners and everything so that it's fresh because you want to keep your audience engaged and keep it fresh. So if you do have multiple lead magnets, and again, you want to make sure they're in alignment with whatever your offer you're leading them to, but think about how often you should be changing them out so
Mm-hmm.
that they are fresh and it is constantly engaging and they don't just get put on a shelf and forgotten about. So I think my number one thing is how often are you actually getting like promoting the lead magnets and getting people on your list? And then the second thing is how often are you emailing your list? Like
Mm-hmm.
what is your strategy? Because again, if they open the email and they don't know who you are, your name, it's been way too long. So you need to come up, and again, I don't believe in a one size fits all, but what's a regular rhythm that you can sustain, that you have the bandwidth to do, but you need a regular rhythm of emailing your list. And they need, just like everything else, you have to show up, you have to nurture them, you have to talk to them. You can't just email them every month or two when you have a promotion
Mm-hmm.
because your unsubscribe rate is going to go through the roof because you're literally only showing up to sell to them. So it's about just, I mean, I always think about it as a conversation, as a friend, how would you treat that friend? You need to honor those emails with that kind of relationship. You wouldn't just show up to your friend at lunch and ask them, for free things all the time or to give you stuff. So how can you honor that relationship? And I always, one of the things I have people like, well, my list is small. And I said, but you know what? If you have 300 people on your list, how often do you get to stand in front of a room and talk to 300 people?
Mm-hmm.
So you should be very grateful and value every single one of those email addresses and treat them with love and gratitude. Yes, people are always talking about scaling and all this stuff, but
Yep.
each one of those people is taking time to open up your email and read it. So you need to start with gratitude and treat that as an important relationship in your life.
Oh, I feel like you just dropped the mic right there with that. Okay, so I'm just going to recap a couple things just for the listener. And this some of the notes that I'm taking here, I'm scribbling furiously as you're talking. Um, I think that is such an important thing of like, how often do you email your list? How often do you talk about your freebie? So, really, to back up, is how often are you talking about your freebie? Putting it up on your website is not enough, that it has to be something that you're continuously putting out in front of people. And I loved this idea of changing out you said you change out your banners and things like that. That isn't actually something I've ever done. So that's definitely something I'm putting on my list of like, okay, Nikki, I gotta start doing this more often. And then once somebody's on your list, like treating them with that love and appreciation and gratitude, that whether you have a small list or a big list, like to me, I always say, like, people don't sit around and read emails as a group. They sit around and read them individually. So you should talk to them as an individual. So it is that like gratitude and appreciation for that person who is taking the time to open your email and read it. It should feel like a conversation. So I'm super on board with this.
And
And
just to
then,
piggyback on the Facebook
yeah,
banner, your banner, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever, that is your most valuable piece of real estate. So on your personal profile and your business page and everything else, you need to have, I make them in Canva, but a banner promoting your freebie so that when someone, think about it, when someone meets you at a networking event or something like that, they usually go check you out. They'll go check you out on LinkedIn, they'll go check you out on Facebook. And that is when you have a perfect opportunity right there to let them know who you are, who you serve, and how you can help them in a very non like self-promoting way. It's just right there. So like that's the one ninja nugget I always tell people is you've got to be using that very valuable real estate to make sure that people are getting your freebies.
if I take nothing else away from all the beautiful, wonderful things that you've dropped today, that's going to be one that's a big one. So I know that my team listens to this. So, Jamie, this one's for you. I love this so much. This is so good. Thank you for commenting again on the banner thing because I think what you just said about that's such a valuable piece of real estate and I don't think I'm valuing it. So I need to make some changes. So thank you. You've inspired me and now I got to take some action.
Can't wait to check out everyone's banners. It'll
I
be
know.
fun.
Lots of updates to the banners. Well, I'm going to be going and checking out yours. I got to make sure I'm following and watching your banners regularly because I think it will encourage me to be like, okay, Shelly's making some changes. I need to make some changes too, some updates. So I love that. Okay. Um, Here is one of my last questions before we start to wrap up this section of it is how do you know that it's really time to pay attention to building your list?
Mm. I always say the best time to start building your list was a year ago. And if you haven't done it, the next best time is today.
Yes.
Because and I've heard this from so many influencers. These are people with large followings and large audiences on social media. They said if they could go back and redo one thing in their business, they would have focused more on growing their list than growing their social media following. Because
Ooh.
when you look at the metrics of if you make a post, how many people actually see it, how many people click through, like the conversion rates of social media posts,
Mm-hmm.
it's really honestly discouraging to think about all the time that I see so many people spending creating content. They're on that content creation hamster wheel for social media. And I'm like, if you just take that energy and you put it into something that's more sustainable, like a list, then that's where you should put that energy and you're going to get that back tenfold because you're building your list. So
Mm-hmm.
I think honestly, and again, someone's like, well, I don't have a lot of people. I'm like, start with your mom, and, just get that momentum building and we'll keep going. And then it's funny, they start thinking about all the clients they have. And before you know it, they've got a decent sized list, but until you really sit down and take stock of your assets, you don't really know how many people that you probably have come into contact with. And
Mm-hmm.
the other good thing about list building is most of us are meeting people in so many different areas of our business, whether it's social, whether it's at networking events, online virtual events. And so what I see a lot of people doing is they're trying to have all these independent conversations with all these different groups of people. And you should flash a QR code at the end of your presentation and people scan that and get them onto your list. Now you have one aggregate place that everyone is. So no matter where you met them or how they came into your world, they're in one place. And then
Mm-hmm.
you can decide how you want to talk to them from there.
Yeah.
But it just makes your entire content creation strategy so much easier because you start with your list. And that's the other thing I always say is start with your list and work backwards. So if
Mm.
your core piece of content that's going on each week is your email to your subscribers or your list, pull out a couple nuggets and maybe make those social media posts. Like start with the list and go backwards versus adding another thing to your to-do list. So, okay, well, now I've got to write my email list after I've made all my social media content and all that. Use your list as your core pillar and pull stuff from there. And it allows you to have that freedom of, I spent my time on what matters most, which is my list, the people that are in my world. I'll pull a couple nuggets out and put that on social media or wherever else I need to put it. And that'll be fine. Because again, the reality of the people seeing it on social media is so small that you spend your time and energy where it matters, and that's on your list.
Yes. Is there ever a time that you think it's time to stop list building?
Maybe if you decide to go out of business. I don't know. I always say, even if I decided to stop working tomorrow, I'm a connector. I love people. I would send them holiday emails and things to add
Yeah.
value. Like think about it. We all used to send like Christmas cards and stuff. Like
Yeah.
connection is so important. And one of the things that people really miss in this modern age is connection. And if you use your list for good, just to connect with people, create conversations, it's always going to be a valuable asset, personally and professionally.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. Is there anything I haven't asked you about list building that I need to ask you or that you feel compelled to want to share with us today?
I feel like we really hit all the assets. If I
Okay.
could just reiterate, it's don't overthink it.
Mm.
Just don't overthink it. Start, do a quick start. Nothing, there are a few things this side of heaven that are permanent, and there's nothing about list building that is permanent. And you can always pivot. So just take action,
Yeah.
whatever it is to grow your list, and don't stay stuck with like that analysis paralysis.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so as we wrap up today, I call this the little something extra, and it's a way for people to maybe get a little bit of insight into you um, as a person. So if you're willing to share, would you be willing to share what brings you pleasure or joy right now?
Well, it is winter, but I absolutely love being outside. And as we talked about, my husband and I chose to relocate for a quality of life, and just being outside and hiking and spending time in nature. Nature is kind of just it rejuvenates my soul. So anytime I can get out in nature, I prefer it to be a little warmer than normal, than it is right now. But just being in nature, and I love my house has the most beautiful view of the sunsets, and the sunsets here are next level.
They're
And so
gorgeous.
just connecting with nature and like the sunrises and sunsets are beautiful. I think it's a photographer in me. I will stop my car and pull over on the side of the road for a good sunset and start pulling out my iPhone to take pictures.
Yes, I agree. It's beautiful here. I was on the green belt today for my walk, and nothing brings me more joy or comfort than getting to walk next to the river. It's like my favorite
Yes.
thing ever. So I get it.
It's a beautiful river.
Oh, it's so gorgeous. All right. What is something that you do to celebrate your wins?
I am getting better about this
Okay.
because I'm very forward focused, and so always moving on to the next thing. But I have learned to so one of the things I do is I've started trying to not work on Fridays, to
Oh,
just it's not, now I say that it's an intention,
yeah.
but to clear Fridays. And so if I've had a week where I've had a good win, I try to just do something fun, and I always ask myself what sounds fun to me. And it could be something super fun, as for me as a photographer, going on a photo walk and just pulling out my phone and capturing things, or maybe going and doing like a facial or something. But it's just like I taking that time to actually acknowledge and treat yourself, and taking time out of your workday, because we all as entrepreneurs want to keep pushing forward and hitting that next goal. And I think it's acknowledging that you can take a break and you can give yourself a mental and emotional like relief from your business, and go
Mm,
out and celebrate, even if it's going to coffee or lunch with a friend. Just it's for I guess the way I celebrate is giving myself time away from work to go do something I love.
yeah, that's perfect. That's so perfect. Okay. What's something exciting going on right now in your business?
I am so excited to work with more people about list building. I have a course called Social to Sales, where it really takes people from just hanging out on social media, exclusively trying to promote their business on social media, to
Mm-hmm.
taking them through all the beginning stages. It's really for someone who is looking for strategy and list building strategies. And we do the platform, we do it's a 30-day intensive, and you go from 0 to 100 and you walk away with everything we talked about today. And what makes me excited is seeing the wins that my clients have and about how they're filling their courses now. The things that you talked about, they were trying to do business on social media. And now I'll get an email that says, Shelly, I just put this promotion out and I got 3 new clients. Or every time I send an email out, I get a sale. Yeah. And that is so exciting to see them win and to see the power of list building in their businesses.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I suspect that people listening are going to want to connect with you. We all need a little more Shelly in our life. So what's the best way to do that?
Well, I'm on all social media profiles as at Shelly Niehaus. And I have, if anyone wants to go deeper, I have an email quick start guide. So it is my 5 steps to helping you get started with your email. And it really is for someone that, day one, we talk about what to look for in building a platform or picking a platform and creating lead magnets. So each day you get an email with just one tip or strategy about how to go through the thing. And then you have an action item at the end of each day that if you complete all 5 of them, you'll be on your way to knowing the parts and pieces to actually implementing the strategy in your own business.
Perfect. And how do we get that?
So I give you the link to put in the show notes?
Yes.
I can also, if you give me a second, I can pull it up here. It's shellyniehaus.ck.page/email guide. It's kind of a complicated link, so I can just give that to you to put in the show notes if that's the easiest way. And it's also tagged on all of my social media. Okay. So again, the freebie, the banner, they'll be able to find it on all of my social media.
Perfect. So go check Shelly out. All of her contact information is going to be in the show notes. So we'll have that. And then go grab her freebie and connect with Shelly. She's amazing. Thank you for being here. I'm so grateful to you. I learned so much. And I definitely have some actions I need to go and take as a result of getting to have this conversation with you today. So thank you, Shelly.
It's been fun. I'm super excited to combine your superpower of sales with list building, because together those 2 things will take anyone's business to where they need to go.
Yeah. Amen. All right. And for you, the listener, thank you so much for being here. Would love to know, what was your biggest takeaway from today? Connect with myself and with Shelly on social media. Would love to hear and or share this episode. Thank you for listening. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.
Are you ready to increase your confidence in your sales conversations? I have a gift for you that is going to show you exactly how to do that. It is my Closing the Sale ebook. It's all about leveling up your confidence, giving you language to use, how to seamlessly move somebody through the sales process. And you can get it right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/Maven. Go grab it.